On this episode of Leaders Playbook.
Action!
Inside Netflix, one of the world's leading entertainment services with over 300 million paid memberships.
There's such fandom around these shows.
Meet the leaders behind the shows you binge.
If we would have said we were trying to make a global sensation, we would have failed at it for sure.
See how their business decisions change what you watch and how you watch it.
The decision to make originals, it was actually probably an existential decision.
Learn how two of the world's top executives think about taking risks with billions on the line.
Don't be afraid. There's a lot of trial and error in this business.
I care so much about how do you surprise the audience.
And why they've empowered teams across 50 countries to make critical decisions on their own.
Pick the best people, give them the tools to do the best work of their life, and get out of their way.
Leaders Playbook, Netflix, starts now. I'm meeting up with Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos in a location that might seem surprising for the head of a streaming company, an old-school movie theater. Despite the fact that Netflix disrupted the movie industry, Sarandos is a huge fan of the cinema. He led Netflix's effort to buy and renovate the iconic Egyptian theater, where Netflix hosts movie premieres.
It must have been so profound for you to buy this theater.
Oh yeah, over 100 years ago, the very first Hollywood premiere was in this building.
I'm here to discover how he's evolved as a leader, from his first job as a video store clerk in Arizona into one of the biggest hit makers on the planet.
You created Netflix's current strategy of investing in original content. Netflix will spend $18 billion on original content this year. And this started back in the 2010s when Netflix started losing some key licensing deals with the studios. What were the stakes back then? And why did you decide to take that big leap and invest in originals?
We got into a place where we're trying to get more and more programming licensed from people who are now our competitors, who started to become more and more leery of licensing us their programming. And when I found some what should have been easy to close deals, impossible to close, I started to get this sinking feeling that we better get good at this ourselves. We were kind of at an inflection point in the business. It was actually probably an existential decision. And then we took the kind of opportunist leap with House of Cards because I viewed it as maybe the most perfect opportunity to start this. I worried if we started small, that we would never really get a good enough read if we made a good choice or not, because it would have so little impact on the business.
But a big swing at the time.
A big swing financially, and in terms of a commitment, a 2-season pickup of a show was pretty unheard of. And I thought if we could make House of Cards work on Netflix, we could secure our long-term future.
And you said yes at that point without telling your then boss, Reed Hastings.
Correct. I think Reed set an example and built a culture where that was possible.
So how does an executive spend $100 million on a series, taking the business in a totally new direction without mentioning it to his boss?
I often say that if not for the culture that Reed Hastings built at Netflix, I couldn't exist. Reed definitely said, I bet on people. And I think the lesson that he's left for me is that you pick the best people, give them the tools to do the best work of their life, and get out of their way. I don't know what Reed would have added to that decision at that point. And when he asked me, why would you do that? And I said, Reed, it's a simple risk reward for me. If this show fails, we will have dramatically overpaid for a show. We do that all the time. But if it succeeds, we could completely transform the business as we know it.
His decision to make House of Cards was possible because Netflix's co-founder and CEO at the time, Reed Hastings, worked hard to establish a culture of what he called radical freedom and responsibility. That means Hastings empowered his employees to make decisions, even very expensive ones, on their own. And it worked. House of Cards' success helped kick off a period of hypergrowth. In the 2 years following its release, the show won 4 Emmys, and the streamer added 21 million subscribers. Over that time period, Netflix's stock nearly tripled in price.
To me, what was even more dramatic in terms of your transformation into the media industry, beyond that decision to invest in originals, was the decision to make shows in local markets all around the world. Netflix now produces in 50 countries. No Hollywood studio has ever successfully done that. What made you even think that was possible?
Today, we're the largest exporter of European original television in the world. It seemed illogical that so much of the world content was from the US. People's tastes are very, very local. I think what people look for in great movies and television shows is something relatable. see themselves in the characters, recognize the neighborhood sometimes even. So the idea that we could be successful around the world without local programming seemed impossible. So if we wanted to get there at scale, we had to kind of do what we were doing in the US.
In 2015, Netflix released Narcos, a crime drama based on the life of cocaine kingpin Pablo Escobar. It's produced and filmed in Colombia, in Spanish, and became an international hit. 5 years later, Sarandos put his faith in Bella Bajaria, giving her radical freedom to oversee all of the streamer's original series globally. Your responsibilities expanded dramatically when you were promoted to oversee all local language series. No one's really done that before. What made you want to take that on?
And it was such an exciting challenge. I was born in London. I lived in Zambia. I'm Indian. I watched cinema from India growing up. And so I think this idea of feeling very connected to audiences around the world was personally really exciting for me to do. I still had to learn a ton about each of these countries, hire people right in each of those creative ecosystems around the world.
Over the next few years, Sarandos and Bajaria learn lessons that will shape them as leaders and impact Netflix's future. Coming up,
Netflix has started doing a range of things that Netflix always said it was never going to do. Advertising, live, and sports. They're doing all of those things now. Yeah. What made you change your mind?
And with an $18 billion content budget on the line, how do these leaders hire people they trust?
I no longer pick the shows on Netflix. I pick the people who pick the people who pick the people who pick the shows that go on Netflix.